What's up, YouTube? So in this video, I'm gonna be giving my quick thoughts on our game last night against the Titans. Lost 31-12. Most of that coming in the fourth quarter, or at least a good amount of it. 12 of those points. Really rough loss last night. Was I surprised? Not really. This team's really bad. This team is really, really bad. And I don't think it's necessarily just because of Tyler Huntley or Skylar Thompson. This offense looked bad even with Tua the first 2 weeks. We haven't played with the lead yet this year. Even our win against the Jaguars, we scored with 0 seconds left to take the win. We have not actually had a lead at any point this year so far. So that's really rough. Our defense is probably it is better than our offense right now, for sure. I still don't think that they're necessarily terrible. I mean, the game got away from us at the end of the game for sure. I don't think our defense played great. But with the injuries we've got, I mean, Jalen Phillips went down again. Kendall Fuller was out. We're missing David Long. It's really tough. But at the same time, this still kind of comes back on Chris Greer. Even with the injuries. I know you don't tend to want to blame people for injuries, but a lot of the players that are out right now are players that you knew were injury prone when you got them. Teron Armstead was injury prone in New Orleans. He continues to be so. Jalen Phillips almost retired because of concussions and injuries in college. He's still injury prone, right? David Long, same thing. Injury prone even back with the Titans. Like, these aren't surprises. I know why you're signing these people because they're injury prone. You can get them for a little bit cheaper, and they are talented players. I understand. Also, same with Odell. Like, you knew you were going to get Odell for like 8 games max. Tua, injury prone. Skylar Thompson, we got to start having that conversation about him being injury prone too. He's gone down a few times when he's had to come into games. And then when you have injury prone players, you also don't build up an offensive line to help them, which doesn't sound like a good combo to have. Raheem Mostert, another injury prone player, and he's out right now. You know? It is what it is. We got to start talking about Waddle, too, with his durability. Every time he takes a hard hit, he doesn't really miss a ton of games, but every time he gets tackled, it feels like he has to take a quarter off. I don't know. But it's a tough situation. And at some point, we might need to start looking at our strength and conditioning coaches or our training staff, maybe the way we're handling practices. I don't know what it is, but it feels like we are one of the more injury-prone teams in the league. And some of that is the players we sign, but some of them aren't injury-prone players necessarily. So, I don't know. But either way, it was a really tough loss last night. I came on here to just talk about the Titans game, but really, this loss was a symptom of problems that we had in the offseason. And we talked about it. Like, offensive line was going to be really bad, and it was awful last night. I'll probably do an offensive line film session at some point this week. Because we really got to have that conversation again. And again, I know Armstead was out, but it's kind of hard to sympathize with that because you knew that Teron Armstead was going to miss time at some point this year. You knew he was going to lay down and go, ouch. You knew that. So, I don't know. It's tough. Tyler Huntley, it's clear that he doesn't understand the offense yet. There were a lot of times just trying to get through the operations of the plays was pretty tough for him. I mean, he just got here, and this is a very complex offense. But that's also something I want to talk about with Mike McDaniel. You know, I understand having a complicated offense when you have your starting quarterback who's a very intelligent guy. But if you're going to start a guy that you just signed like 2 weeks ago, not even, you should probably simplify some things for him. We've seen, I mean, look at Malik Willis. Like, he got signed like a few days prior, had to come into that game when Jordan Love went down, and he played pretty damn well for the Packers. And is Malik Willis like this generational talent? No. He's got a big arm and he's athletic, kind of like Tyler Huntley. I do think he's a little better than Tyler, but I don't think he's that much better. But you got to help him out. Like, why are you giving him such long play calls on an offense that he just got to? Simplify things for him. It's not that difficult to understand. And that's the thing, like, I think I might be out on Mike McDaniel as a play caller. I like him as a head coach because I think he's a good hype guy and all that stuff. Game management is kind of rough too. I don't know. I'll get back to you on the head coach part, but I think I might be out on him as a play caller because he is very creative when he wants to be, but at the same time, situational awareness has evaded him his entire tenure here. You know, we're constantly throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, like we're going east to west and never actually moving forward. But when we actually do throw the ball downfield, even last night with Tyler Huntley, when we throw it between the hashes, we were finding success. When we were running the ball downfield, you know, north-south, we were finding some success. But we just weren't sticking with it. Now, I said in the film session to not run straight up A-gap because they have a monster at nose tackle. But you can run through B-gap on either side, especially with Jeffrey Simmons out. And I just feel like Mike McDaniel isn't very good at adapting. Because we've seen this before, because, I mean, Tua's gone down quite a few times, obviously. He doesn't really adapt the play calls as things change. You know what I mean? Like, and not even just when the quarterback goes down, but, like, we've had games where we haven't had Tyreek Hill or Waddle or both. You know, those types of things where we've been really empty at running back, and he doesn't really change the play call as very much to adjust to the people that are on the field. And that's, in my opinion, that is the signs of an offensive coordinator that isn't really that great to me. Because so many coaches will stick to their scheme no matter what scheme above the players that are having to run it. And I've always subscribed to the idea of, like, building your scheme around the players that you've got. You know? Because, like, Mike McDaniel comes from the Shanahan tree. So does Matt LaFleur. But the Dolphins aren't the 49ers. We don't have their roster. We don't have the power that they have because for some reason we've just decided to go all in on speed and no power. Cool. Without an offensive line to, you know, really take advantage of that speed downfield. I don't know. Really tough situation. Defense, like I said, it's better than our offense. That's all I can say. You know, in the first half, we limited them to 9 points. At some point, the offense has to go and score. The first quarter was 0-0. And I don't even think this was a case of our defense playing great necessarily. I think this was two really, really incompetent offenses. Because the Titans' offensive line was really bad, too. They did look better when Mason Rudolph came in. Also, I had this thought, too, last night. You know, you have an injury-prone quarterback in Tua. I mean, I love Tua, but he is injury-prone. I think we can probably agree on that. You decide... I mean, our offensive line was already bad last year. You decide to make it worse on purpose by letting Connor Williams walk out the door and go to Seattle for fucking peanuts. Robert Hunt, I understand. Robert Hunt is a good player, but $100 million, no thanks. But then you don't really replace either of them. Like, you don't replace Robert Hunt at all. And you sign Aaron Brewer and just be like, yeah, that's fine at center. That's fine. He's an okay zone run blocker. Can he power run? Absolutely not. He's not very strong. Can he pass protect? Not really. But he's athletic and, can zone run pretty well. So that's fine. What about right guard? Oh, Liam Eichenberg that sucked at 4 positions that we put him at so far? We're going to plug him in at right guard and see how that goes. Cool. Don't let him stay at a position and try to get more comfortable. Or, sign a guard. Why would you do that? Why the fuck would you do something like that? I don't know. Instead, let's draft a 4th receiver. Let's draft a left tackle who's not ready to play. Let's draft Chop Robinson, who's really athletic but raw, but not really ready to play. Don't build the offensive line, which is a gaping hole in this team. Don't get an interior defensive line when you just let go of Christian Wilkins and, you sign Calais Campbell, who is playing amazing, by the way, but he's like 97 years old. Or linebacker, You knew David Long was going to say ouch at some point. You had to. You signed Jordan Poyer. That's not Jordan. Well, we did sign him too. But Jordan Brooks, rather. You signed Jordan Brooks. That's great. Anthony Walker, decent depth. But after that, we were back to Duke Riley. And no one wants Duke Riley. Why is he here? No one knows. Duke Riley doesn't even know why he's still here. I'm sure of it. If he's honest with himself. I'm kind of just ranting at this point. I'm not even really talking about the Titans game. You know what? I'll give you a positive. Special teams look pretty good. I might even give y'all a special teams film session. Who knows? Jason Sanders made 2 good kicks. One of them being a 56-yard field goal. Shout out to him. And that was after our offense didn't move at all. Because Braxton Berrios had a fantastic punt return that set us up with really good field position. And the offense barely moved. So Jason Sanders got a 56-yard field goal. So that was good. Shout out to Jason Sanders. And shout out to the defense for causing the punt. Jake Bailey has played pretty well for us. He's probably our best player on offense, if he counts. We had 1 punt return, 2 field goals, and 5 punts. You might get a film session out of me. For special teams. You just might. I don't know. This is ugly. This is very ugly. And Tyler Huntley really didn't look that great last night. Like, I understand, again, I know he didn't know the playbook and Mike McDaniel was not helping him. But there were times where he just didn't look accurate. Like, when he threw that bitch into double coverage in the end zone and to Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill had to come back to the ball to try to play defensive back against 2 defenders. Woof. And that's the thing, like, you have an injury-prone quarterback into it. This was my point earlier, and then I got on a tangent. You have an injury-prone quarterback in Tua. You choose not to give him an offensive line to protect him in any way. And then you also don't invest in a viable veteran backup quarterback. It's an interesting decision. It truly is. Because can you imagine if Tua went down and we had someone like an Andy Dalton or a Joe Flacco? You know, someone who's played this game before and done well. Who would have thought? Especially if you're not going to protect your injury-prone quarterback. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, I would appreciate hitting that like button. If you have any questions or comments in the comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.